And hello, everybody. We have John Shear, who still thinks Tua deserves MVP, which is disgusting. Myself, Jake Malik, and JB, who couldn't be here. But our man Jay, who's not a rug, but tells me JB is. And Jay, I appreciate the callback from what? That was 2 weeks ago now, I think, right? 2, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
You were here, and I made a comment. We are talking about the Big Lebowski, and I said that movie is great, and I was just talking about, the room, the room is tied together by the rug. It's a great scene.
it is.
And
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know, and you obviously didn't do your homework, which I'm very disappointed about. What do you have to say for yourself, John?
I'm excited that the new Top Gun's coming out on Paramount Plus December 22nd. So I'm excited because I
nice.
get to watch it.
That was a great film.
Well, there you go.
I'm
All right.
excited.
Well, let's start this up and talk about something you shouldn't be excited about. Or John, I guess in your case you should. And I can't believe I want to talk about them, but we're going to talk about the New York Jets because your division may have the most incompetent quarterback I've ever seen in the past 10 years, maybe. I'm making a rough estimate of 10 years. I think that's a fair statement. If somehow somebody doesn't know what happened, I will tell the people, and then we can discuss this. The Jets played the Patriots on Sunday, and it was a defensive battle, which I'm not surprised about. Two of the best defenses in the whole league, and it was exactly as you expected. But there were 10 points scored for one team and 3 points for the other. The Patriots won 10-3 on the final play of the game. And after the game, because the Jets only scored 3 points, a reporter asked, and rightfully so, to Zach Wilson, the quarterback of the New York Jets, Zach, do you think you let down your defense at all because your offense only scored 3 points? And Zach didn't skip a beat, which is part of why I'm judging him so much, didn't skip a beat and said, nope. And that was it. And he was, let's move on. And so I bring this up because Daniel Jones is not a great quarterback. Davis Mills is not a great quarterback. And I say that, Jay, those are our two teams. And John, Tua is proving to be a good quarterback. I'm not going to say he is one of the best yet because it's only the first season that we've seen this high-level performance.
It's
but
not even
he's
17 games, right?
he's certainly proving to me that he is I would say, definitely a top half of the league. Would I rank him in the top 10? I don't know because I'd have to go through my rankings. But there's
never
a chance
seen him
would.
play in the playoffs.
Right.
Haven't seen that yet.
Certainly Tua has earned my respect this season.
Right.
So I bring Jay and I into this conversation first because we know what it's like to have a bad quarterback and quarterback play that is not so great. But Jay, have you ever heard your quarterback say something like that? Because I know mine, when he makes a mistake, he admits it and moves on. Has yours ever done that?
Absolutely never in his long-necked life. Whenever you do y'all remember when Josh Rosen was drafted into the league and kind of how cocky he was? And where's he at now?
Then you look at... He was like Ryan Leaf. He was that kind of guy where he thought he was going to destroy the world and, well...
And then you look at Mayfield, who came in cocky, and he's about average at best, maybe.
Maybe he's not even a starting quarterback anymore. He's a backup.
Oh, yeah, just so y'all know, Darnold just got named starter this Sunday.
Yeah, that's why.
Did he really?
Yes, Darnold just got named starter this Sunday. Yeah,
that's why I said he's not a starting quarterback.
Well, I mean, I just saw Baker start, at Baltimore. So I mean, they have their carousel going. Who knows?
The theme
is rotating.
The theme I'm getting at here is this league will humble you real quick. I know if I am anyone on the Jets defense, I'm pulling him to the side like you are out your rabbit mind. If you think for 1 second, the Jets defense went out there and damn near pitched they did pitch a shutout. The Jets defense pitched a shutout. They did not allow them into the end zone. The 3 points the 10 points that the Patriots scored was the special teams. First and foremost, and Jake, I hate to bring this up to you, man. My apologies.
Don't say what you're going to say.
But that punter is the second coming of Matt Dodge, and you know what I'm talking about.
I knew you were going to do that to me.
And you know what I'm talking about.
Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, I was gonna say John doesn't realize what we're talking about. Or anybody
No,
else?
I know what you're talking about.
Because John, your face looked like you were a little confused for a
No,
moment.
I know exactly what you're talking
Okay.
about. Deshaun. I remember that 2010.
And I remember immediately afterwards, Matt Dodge was out of the league. He did not play another down.
Wonder why?
Not past that season, Like, I'm sitting here thinking, why did you kick it to him? You punt it out of bounds. It doesn't even have to be a coffin corner punt. Just kick it out of bounds. What are the chances they kneel it and then they go to overtime? They play for overtime.
Yeah.
You kicked it to him and he ran it all the way back.
You know what? That's not even the biggest problem.
It wasn't that he even kicked it to him. Did you watch the punt? How there was no hang time.
Yeah,
there was a line drive. So you don't give your guys time to go down there. You don't give your guys time to go down there and get him. It was a line drive, hit him right in the hands, and your guys aren't ready. They're not down there. And then he starts. You know what I mean?
On top of that, it was a bad punt.
My guess was, did they think if they line drived it that he wouldn't catch it? That's the only guess I could. Either that or he screwed up the punt, but I don't think it was.
They also talked about him, Jake, after the game. The Patriots specifically drafted him because he was a fantastic returner in college. This is what his specialty was.
He went to the University of Houston and he had a walk-off punt return touchdown. Then it wasn't that long ago. But back to Zach Wilson, though. To sit here and say, I mean, okay, you know what? I kind of understand, why he said it, seeing as he went, like 34, 39 for 350 yards. Oh, he didn't? He went 9 of 22 for 77 yards, and he got the gall to sit there with a straight face and say he did not let the defense down.
Do you want to hear the best stat, Jay? Do you know how many punts? Do you know how many punts were in that game by the Jets?
10. He had
more completions Zach Wilson had. 9 is correct. Zach Wilson had less completions than their special teams had punts.
You want to know a better stat, Jake? You want to know a better stat than that?
And say you didn't let your team down. When your team punts more times than you can complete the ball to anybody is just mind-boggling. Because I before you get to this, John, I want to make the point of how easy a completion can be. If you just throw it to the running back on a small check down, I could get 10 completions in a game. You know why? Because all I got to do is throw it a couple of yards, and it just has to go in front of me. That's it. It has to go forward. That's it. Even if it's a yard forward, even if it's 2 feet in front of me, it's a completion. I'm not saying those completions are all easy, but getting a handful of little ones that were easy just to boost your stats a little bit, they're not hard. Zach Wilson had 9.
That's it. Of 22 attempts.
It's awful.
So, Jake, let me give you an even better stat, because your stat was fantastic. The Jets in the second half averaged 2
I know. 2 inches?
2.4 inches per play. Inches per play. That is, I've never seen that in my entire life of watching football. That is the greatest stat I've ever heard. 2.4 inches per play.
This is my AirPods case. This is probably about 2 inches long.
That's how much they average per play in the second half.
I don't know the exact length, but this is an approximate length of what the Jets
whole
did
team
per play.
In the second half. That's so great.
I get having a bad offense. It happens. Bad offensive days happen against good defenses, nonetheless. But less than a yard per play. You didn't even gain a yard per play. You had 2 feet per play.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is so bad, I cannot even begin to put it into words. And so to wrap this kind of back on itself, to bring it back to the real important point, Zach Wilson was given a layup of a question. If I got asked that question, even if I don't believe it, all I got to say as the quarterback is, man, today they were a great defense, but there's no denying that the way we played on offense, not only did I let my defense down, I let my coaches down, I let myself down. This is not the kind of performance I expected of myself or this offense. There's a lot to improve on. I applaud the defense for what they did today. They really were the only reason I can admit that we were in this. Our offense was not there. I'm not happy about it, but we're going to work on it. We're going to be better next week. Layup of an answer.
And that's New York media.
I came up with that. I came up with that off the spot, by the way. I didn't have that prepared. I had it just as much as Zach did.
Yeah, you
you
don't
give
have
me
a
the question, here's
publicist or
my
anything,
answer.
yeah.
And so to give the response of no, I mean, it's not like he went,
Oh, he didn't just say no. He said absolutely
he
not.
didn't take
Yeah,
that.
it was
that
a
second where
confident no.
yeah, he didn't take that second to go, no, I'm not. I don't think so. He was immediately on it, like, nope, I did not. And it's the confidence that you want in a quarterback, but in the wrong situation. You don't want him that confident that you suck and can't admit it, because to me that is to me that's so emblematic.
He really said that like he played a
of who
lights
he
out
is.
game.
Yeah,
He really said that like he played a lights out game.
I mean, come on, man. Like
You
Daniel
hang on a
Jones, who
second.
had multiple
Hold on.
interceptions this weekend, was better than you.
Hold on
And
just 1 second, because we got to go just a tad bit deeper into this, because I can't believe what Buddy said. Hold on just 1 second. I got to look up his box score. Because this,
Jay,
okay, hold on a second.
It was bad.
Here we go.
I think
so all told, we got to establish that he was 9 of 22, 77 yards. He averaged 3.5 yards per attempt. His QBR was 24.5. His passer rating was a flat 50.
That's about as low as it gets, I believe.
Yeah, it's near the bottom. Yeah, I don't know that it gets much lower than that.
And did you guys see the stats about Zach Wilson? His stats this year, out of 33 quarterbacks, they ranked him out of 33.
They're awful.
He's basically dead last in everything.
He's terrible.
Out of 33 quarterbacks, he's basically dead last. Interception to touchdown ratio, pass and completion percentage, I think it's like 55%.
Just awful.
4 touchdowns, 5 picks. You're a starting quarterback. You have 4 touchdowns in 2022. Yeah. This isn't 1971.
This is not an era where defense reigns supreme. Again, I know this was a good defensive showing. I'm not denying that. But to be that bad is almost impossible. You have to actually attempt to be that bad.
And the crazy part about it is the Jets are 6-4, even with that type of quarterback. If you were to line up Breece Hall or James Robinson in the Wildcat, you probably got the same record.
To be fair, one of those wins was a miracle win with Flacco against the Browns.
Know what? Flacco definitely wins that game on Sunday. I don't care what anyone says. Flacco definitely wins that game on Sunday.
Yep.
I can't argue with that.
Or at least they go to overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
And he definitely completes more than 9 balls.
And the last thing, well, completing that much is not an accomplishment, but you're correct. The last thing I want to leave this on, actually, well, 2 things. Number one, I saw this. So NFL on CBS on Instagram the other day posted this about Zach Wilson. I'm going to give you these stats, and I'm going to give you his stats. I'm going to put them next to somebody else. And I want you guys to try and guess. Now, obviously, I'm going to tell you now, this is another quarterback. This is a quarterback who was obviously not very good, and he did turn out to be a draft bust. Zach Wilson's passer rating was so far through the first 20 career starts. Both of these players have these stats. Zach Wilson has a 70.7, and our mystery player is a 70.6. The passing touchdown to interception ratio is 13-16 for Wilson, and mystery player is 15-13. Completion percentage for Wilson is 55.6, and mystery player is 52.1. Yards per attempt for Wilson is 6.3. Mystery player is 6.2, and the overall win-loss record is 8-12 for Zach Wilson, and the mystery player is 6-14. Do you have any guesses as to who this other quarterback was? That my hint is he was a bust.
Jamarcus.
Okay, Jay. Any guesses?
Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel.
John, did you see these stats
Jamarcus
beforehand?
Russell. No, I did not.
You are very correct. That is Jamarcus Russell versus Zach Wilson.
My final determination was the win-loss record. Once you gave me the win-loss, I knew it.
And Jay, your guess is a good guess too. Don't get me wrong. But the reason I say that is Zach Wilson has been awful in every conceivable way. And not that he's been Jamarcus Russell bad, because there is a difference.
I don't know. I mean, 55% is pretty bad.
Jamarcus was bad for different reasons, is my point.
Oh, yeah.
Zach
okay.
is not athletic. Is very athletic. Jamarcus it's his own fault. Zach is just playing terribly and not adjusting to the NFL properly, it seems. And that's the difference.
The thing is, Jake, like we see flashes. We've seen flashes from Trevor Lawrence. He's in year 2. He hasn't taken the step to where he becomes the guy we think he can be, but he's showing us
something.
He's shown us something.
And he's playing well enough.
2 of the first 2 years we've seen flashes.
And John, to your point, real quick, he's shown improvement, which is important.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
He is considerably improved from last season, I believe.
These young guys that we've seen, all these young guys that we've seen, you just want to. It's not necessarily about the win-loss or the touchdowns and picks. It's just about are you getting better? Are you making reads? Are you
don't
doing
need to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly.
It's a different Lawrence this year.
We're not killing Trevor Lawrence yet.
No.
You know what I mean? But we understand.
Absolutely not.
Year 3 is typically when it's okay, it's either you're going to make it or you're not. And Zach Wilson, they gave him weapons.
Yeah, I mean,
line's pretty good. They gave him before Breece Hall got hurt. It's a nice run game. They went and got James Robinson. They went and drafted Garrett Wilson.
Absolutely.
Giving him
John,
weapons, and I see nothing at him. I've seen zero progression.
To your Trevor Lawrence point, real quick, and I'm going to point out positive things that he's done. So he played 17 games last season. This year he's only played 10. But just to point out, his record is still not good. But that's indicative of his team, not him, because his completion percentage is up over 6 full points.
And last year was the Urban Meyer year, so I give him a pass.
Right. Yeah, we're not going to hold him against that.
Last year, he only had 12 touchdowns. This year, he already has 13. And more importantly, last year, he had 17 interceptions. This year, he has only 6. Yeah. Now, those are just some stats. And I don't need to go through every single stat he has, because if we do that, we're going to be here forever.
But
ultimately, the point is, he cuts down on turnovers. His record is the same, but it's not his fault. He's throwing more touchdowns, so he's making more plays. And that is indicative of having more receivers and better receivers. We're seeing improvement from him. He's a better quarterback on the field as well. Just watching him, I think he looks better. This is what you expect. Now, Trevor Lawrence, maybe you could say, we expect him to be so amazing in by year 2 or 3. That's just high expectation, but he's showing improvement. Zach Wilson looks just as bad, if not worse. It's not going anywhere. If it's going anywhere, it's going backwards. It's not getting better.
It has.
So I have a question. Do you guys think that they should do the Josh Rosen thing and just pull the plug? Because they did with Josh Rosen in Arizona, where they were just you know what? We know he's not it. Let's just pull the plug now.
If they can get the right quarterback.
We have a nice team.
Yeah. If they can get
you
the
know what?
Absolutely.
You got to think. Bryce Young's coming out. CJ Stroud's coming out.
I hate to
but
say
you're not
it. You know
getting them next year because your record is too good.
You know who's a free agent this season? Lamar. Pretty sure he's a free. If I remember correctly, he's a free agent this season. I'm fairly confident. I'm correct.
That would make for. I mean, I think he'll get franchise tagged, but I think that would make for a very interesting Jets team with Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson and that defense. That would be very interesting.
I mean, and I'm checking Lamar Jackson to make sure I'm correct. I'm fairly confident.
Yeah, because he's betting on himself this year.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be an unrestricted free agent.
I mean, they're probably going to franchise him. Again, probably.
Well, we'll see. But my point being that no, he's an unrestricted free agent in the upcoming season. So we'll see what happens. But my point being, as far as I'm concerned, there's no reason to think the Jets shouldn't go get him. You have a elite defense, I think, with one of the best rookie corners I've seen in a long time. Honestly, he looks awesome, and you're right. Breece Hall is. Had he not been hurt, we said this a couple weeks ago.
Fantastic.
I think the Jets could have had the offensive and defensive rookie of the year. They could have had Breece Hall and Sauce Gardner both winning rookie of the year. Obviously, Breece Hall gets hurt, so he's not going to win it. It'll probably go to Chris Olave, is my guess. Maybe Dameon Pierce. We'll see.
And I want to
and not the point.
I want to make a point on what JT said in the comments. He said
he sent us a message. Yeah,
flashiest game was Week 8 against the Pats, 20 of 41, 355, and 28.4 QBR. Those 355 yards were like he was
probably
not
after the catch.
He was bad. Like he
had 3 picks.
And the picks weren't just interceptions; they were really bad interceptions.
They're really bad interceptions.
So it wasn't even close. He forced them. Like it wasn't like it tipped off guys' hands and it's like, oh man, that's a pick. It was just like, hey, where the heck are you throwing it to, dude?
I think it's just who Zach Wilson is.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to just make a point of saying is that's why Robert Saleh, I believe it was yesterday, didn't commit to Zach Wilson starting this week. He's not saying Zach is his starter. He's saying, look, we'll see. If I'm Robert Saleh, I actually would throw Joe Flacco in there because
where's Mike White? Where's Mike the GOAT? 5 touchdowns versus the Bengals.
He's got a chance to start. He's got a chance to start.
Was it Kevin Kolb?
I might say go throw Joe Flacco out there. Why? Sure, he can look like a statue at times, but you know what you're going to get from him. You can feel confident enough that offensively he will do better, and he
can't be worse.
He won't lose you a game, right? Yeah. He's not going to lose you the game necessarily. He's a decent quarterback, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I got to be honest, I'm kind of rooting for Wilson to not start because he kind of has an earned job. I got to be honest. So one last question, football related, that I want to bring up, and then John, I know there was something you wanted to talk about, so happily we'll talk about that. I was looking at the NFC playoff picture, and it's admittedly a little top heavy. I got to be honest. I think realistically,
that's about what we expected.
I think realistically, there's like 3 or 4 good teams, maybe. I would say, but anyway. So with that said, I wanted to ask the two of you, of the playoff teams, and I can rattle them off for you in the NFC in case you don't know them off the top of your head, no problem. Who do you think is the best team? And just to give you guys the teams, it's the Eagles, Vikings, 49ers, Bucks, Cowboys, Giants, Seahawks. Those are the 7 NFC playoff teams. Who do you think is the best, number one? And I have my mind made up, so I just want to hear what you guys have to say. I'll start with you, Jay. What do you think? Number one. It doesn't have to be based on the rankings currently, but based on just what you've seen and what you know from these teams.
Number one, Philadelphia, undoubtedly. Okay. They're the most complete team out of all of them. One could say the Cowboys, but you kind of don't know which Dak or even which Cowboys team is going to show up. Now, some people kind of knocked them down a notch because of their 1-point win versus the Colts. But you also have to understand that this is what the Colts do as well. I don't care how bad of a year they're having, they will stand up to a contender. They're kind of like the AFC's Cowboys,
Right.
But also at the same time, you got to realize that not every game is going to be a blowout. Not every game is going to be domination.
What matters is the win column.
Exactly. Any coach, past, present, and even future will tell you good teams find a way to win. Good teams find a way to win. And I know that one up top, he can reference the Miami-Baltimore game, or even the Bills-Ravens or anything like that. But good teams find a way to win. They came out with the win. That's the most important stat. So that lets you know that they can dominate and they're built to come from behind if need be. They kept fighting. That's what they kept fighting. They got stunned for 3 quarters, but they kept fighting. They got the ball back, and Hurts led them to
no question that they're a good team, unfortunately. John,
so I've got to go Philadelphia. Go ahead, John.
John, your number one NFC team. Excuse me.
I mean, it easily has to be San Fran, right? They have the best complement of weapons, one of the best lines in the NFC. And the defense is absolutely fantastic. Kyle Shanahan he's the best coach probably out of let me think.
Out of the NFC
out of the
teams,
playoff teams, in the
I
NFC,
think that's fair to say.
him or Pete Carroll. I mean, you could interchangeable to me for best coach. I mean, Pete Carroll, you have to give him his credit for what he did with the Seahawks.
For what he's doing with Geno, yeah.
But
and Geno looks good to his own credit.
Kyle Shanahan's better than Sirianni as a head coach.
Absolutely.
Kyle Shanahan's track record, everything he's done. So, like, the Niners just with CMC, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk. I mean, Ayuk has absolutely stepped up this year for them. Debo really hasn't. But they just have so many weapons. It's like, who do you cover? And then the defense, I mean, with Bosa and Fred Warner, it's just so good. And I know they're 6-4, but I think, remember they started out with Trey Lance. So they started out slow, and then they got Jimmy G, and I'm not saying he's the reason they turn it around. But as
things have turned around, certainly.
As we've said before, he's the guy that he's not going to lose you the game, but he's not going to win you the game. And their defense is good enough, and their run game is good enough, and their weapons are good enough to where Jimmy G just has to kind of be there and not turn the ball over and make some plays every once in a while. And that's the formula for the Niners. And so I think they're far and away the best team in the NFC. The Eagles have an extremely leaky run defense. That is their issue. I know they went and got Sue. I understand that. But their run defense has been bad. Even with Sue in that game, Jonathan Taylor absolutely ran all over them. That's a concern. And when they play the Niners in the playoffs, if they do, or if they play the Vikings again, those are teams with great run games that you have to account for.
Yeah, that's true. But to John's point, and I'm going to go opposite just a tad bit here. You say the Niners are 6-4, but it makes you wonder, how did they get 6-4 if they're that great of a team? Because they should be like 8-2. They should be. Don't forget, one of those L's was to Chicago, and all they have is Justin Fields.
But
that was with Trey Lance in the rain.
That was a monsoon. So that was a monsoon. So that was just like
that was one of the worst games weather-wise you could have had.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't pin that on the Niners. That's just like whoever survives in that game, with whoever has the ball last probably wins.
Pretty much, yeah.
Their losses have come to the Broncos against a good defense, obviously. The Bears, as you had already mentioned. The Falcons.
They had an L to the Broncos. I'm sorry. That's just. I know. No, I don't. I know they have an elite defense, but that is still a bad loss because that offense is putrid.
Putrid. 16-11 or 16-13 or something stupid.
It was 11-10.
11-10.
They had a loss to the Falcons where clearly they were just asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
And then a loss to the Chiefs, which honestly, losing to the Chiefs is not necessarily something to be embarrassed by, because I got to be honest, Chiefs.
So two losses that they really shouldn't have had.
And so, John, it's why I have to agree that I actually would say the 49ers are, and it's why I pose this question, because record-wise, they're not the flashiest, but man, name a better team on paper at the very least. And then watching them play, they're pretty good. Okay, with CMC and now Elijah Mitchell back, you have just this incredible running back tandem. Jimmy G, I got to be honest, I know we call him a game manager a lot, and we don't necessarily give him the credit he deserves. He's pretty good, guys. He has looked pretty good. And
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Jake. The Niners last year, were they a top seed? No. Did they have to go on the road the entire time in the playoffs?
They got hot at the right time.
What did they do? Went to Dallas. They can't beat Dallas. They beat Dallas.
Yes,
went to Green Bay. They beat Green Bay.
In the snow.
Rams. They lost to the Rams, but the Rams had to pull it out of their ass to beat the
Niners. It was a tough win.
The Niners can win on the road. They don't have to be a number one. Philly has to be in Philadelphia to win the NFC. They're not going to Dallas. They're not going to San Fran. They're not going to these places and winning the NFC, in my opinion. They got to be in Philadelphia and get that crowd behind them. San Fran don't have to do that. They can go anywhere you want them to go.
And John, the big thing for me is San Francisco was great last season. They're better this season.
Yep.
When you add a Christian McCaffrey to your team, you're usually adding him to be your starting running back, and he is your new offensive focal point, probably. It's not what they did. They added him to an already star-studded offense where they already had a strong running back. They actually had two strong running backs, Jeff Wilson Jr., who had looked pretty good as a fill-in, and Elijah Mitchell when he comes back. They didn't need him by any means.
No.
They just said, oh, well, we can get him. We can get him at a solid rate. Let's go get him because, well, he's one of the best running backs in the game. You put the football in his hands, you can't stop him. And Deebo Samuel kind of plays the wide back, right? And Deebo is just as effective of a runner. I mean, so you're really talking about, we lost Jack. We've got three running backs, really. I mean, again, fine. You call Deebo the wide back. I kind of call him that.
He can do everything.
But when you think about it, it's a combination of just star-studded offense with a quarterback who, again, I know we don't give him his flowers enough, but he's good quarterback.
For that offense. He's perfect for that offense. He is a good
quarterback. He makes plays. He is competent. I like Jimmy G. I would take Jimmy over a lot of quarterbacks in this league.
But the thing is, there's a reason.
And then the defense. The defense is awesome.
That actually was my small question. Sorry, I had a connection issue. That was my small question. As quarterbacks, just the quarterbacks, forget the team. As quarterbacks, who would you take? Jimmy G or Dak Prescott? Jake?
I got to be honest. I'd take Jimmy, and there's only one real reason. So Dak, to me, has the higher upside in terms of rushing ability, ability to escape the pocket and make those special plays. But why I choose Jimmy is really what it boils down to. Of he learned from Tom Brady. He knows winning, and he clearly continues to win, which to me is really important. Jimmy in the playoffs is a great quarterback, and he's been on some good teams. He wins. Jimmy in the playoffs, he wins, and there's no question about it. He's been to a Super Bowl last year, an improbable run, or what most would have considered an improbable run because they shouldn't have been that way. He did it. He continued to do it. And Dak, not that he's not a talented quarterback, I think he's a more talented quarterback and more versatile. He just doesn't win in the big games, especially in the playoffs. So I would rather maybe take the slightly lower ceiling of Jimmy, but a higher floor and guaranteed potential to win with him, as opposed to Dak, who probably has a higher ceiling, but a potential lower floor if he plays really poorly, and more importantly, hasn't proven himself in those bigger games. At least with Jimmy, I know what I'm getting, and most importantly, I'm getting a guy I can trust to win me games, and he's done it.
Yeah.
That's, to me, in a playoff team, that's what you want. You don't need the Lamar Jacksons, the Patrick Mahomes. You just need a guy you can trust to win games. That's what you want at the end of the day.
The only way I'm taking Jimmy G, I mean, I'm not taking Dak in the playoffs, but the only way I'm taking Jimmy G in this scenario is if he's on the Niners. If you're telling me you put him on the Seahawks and they're a playoff team, I'm not taking Jimmy G. If you're telling me you put him on the Browns and their playoff team, I'm not taking Jimmy G. If you put him on any team basically other than the Niners, I'm not taking him. The only reason I'm taking him is because he fits. He's a scheme guy. Like, he fits this scheme. That's all he is. And it's no knock on him. It's just he's never going to be an elite player. He's a scheme guy. Like, that's, he fits right what they need him to do. Again, he doesn't lose you the game. He's not going to win you it. But the team is good enough around him to where it's like, hey, just don't go lose us a game. Make a couple throws because you do got a good arm. It's not like he's got a bad arm. Mm-hmm. But just make some throws and don't turn it over, and we'll take care of the rest. And there's not many teams in the NFL that are like that.
Yeah. Would you take him in New England if he never left the Patriots?
Hell no.
Interesting.
I would. Belichick clearly liked him. Belichick clearly could use him right. In his games, when he started, he was great. And
Belichick,
sometimes I don't think we give Jimmy enough credit. I'm not saying he's this elite level talent, but I think he's actually better than we maybe give him credit for. And it's just hard to judge how good he is because we've only really seen him on two teams. We've seen him on the Patriots as a backup and a fill-in, and now the Niners. And I got to be honest, I think the Niners are foolish to try and get Trey Lance to start for them. I know they like him, but
they have to. I mean, they traded up. They traded.
But I'm saying having gotten him to me was silly. Like, why would you walk away from what's working? I get you think he's the generational talent. But Jimmy wins you games. Jimmy helps you get to the play. Jimmy helps you go on runs.
They mortgage the future to do that.
So my point is why mess with the future? I mean, why not take those picks, draft guys, and keep a guy that clearly does exactly what you want out of him?
I didn't get the Trey Lance draft myself neither, because me personally, you figure, okay, Jimmy G was 8 minutes away from his first Super Bowl ring. Then last year in the playoffs,
he lost to Patrick Mahomes.
So they had a
slouch.
And he lost to Patrick Mahomes, exactly. Then last year in the NFC Championship game, he was a blown fourth quarter lead away from his second Super Bowl in 3 years. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, Jimmy Garoppolo was not the problem. Kyle Shanahan is the problem. He blows leads in big games. That's what he does. Who was the offensive coordinator for the Falcons when they gave up that 28-3 lead?
Yep.
But they don't hear me. They don't hear me. Shanahan's the problem, not Jimmy G.
And he's a good coach. Don't get me wrong, but I agree.
He's just a choke artist. Call him what he is. He's just a choke artist.
Let me paint you. I'm going to paint you a different picture. All right.
Oh boy. Okay, Bob Ross.
Painting. All right. All right. We're trading up, guys. Let's go back to the draft. We're trading up to the number 3 pick. All right. We're not taking Trey Lance. We're happy with Jimmy G. On the board is Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, or Kyle Pitts. Instead of Trey Lance, you could have Jamar Chase or Jalen Waddle or Kyle Pitts.
Well, I don't need Kyle Pitts, but I get your point.
The team you have now with Jimmy G, you could just say, hey, Debo and Ayuk and Kittle, hey, here's Jamar Chase or Jalen Waddle with it.
Yeah. Here's a big man with great just overall skill, or here's an incredible deep threat to just add to this already.
Nobody could stop that.
And then I'd like to point out they'd also still have likely traded for CMC this season just because they could. So now you're talking about either Jamar Chase or Jalen Waddle with Debo, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle.
Ben, I don't care what. You know what? I'm just gonna say it. I don't care what nobody say. You can flame me for it. On paper, that's a better offense than Kansas City. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. That lineup is better than Kansas City. The only thing that they have better is the quarterback.
That's the best offense in the history of the NFL right there.
That's cheating.
You don't even got to have an elite quarterback because of those weapons. You've never seen an assortment of weapons put together like that.
You could put Peyton Manning's corpse out there from when he won a Super Bowl, and he would be MVP because he'd throw like 5 touchdowns. Why? Because you just put it in the playmaker's hands, and they'll do the rest for you. That's the thing that, I get you wanted to get Trey Lance, but you didn't need him. He wasn't necessary. You have the weapons. Jimmy just has to get it to his playmaker's hands, and Trey Lance has to do. Any quarterback would have to do the same thing, honestly. Put it in your playmaker's hands, and they'll do the rest. So it makes this team so awesome. It's why I'm picking them as my favorite, because the defense is phenomenal. They are awesome on defense, one of the best in the league. And offense, it's so easy. I could do it. Just get it to the right guy, and that's it.
They literally lead the league in yards after the catch.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They lead the league in yards after the catch, man.
They're awesome.
We talked about the Eagles and the Niners. What about the rest of the field? Like in the NFC, like what do we think about them? What do we think about the Seahawks? What do you think about the Vikings?
Overrated.
What do you think about the Bucs? What do we think about the Giants? What do we think about these?
Every single team to me doesn't deserve to go to the playoffs. The NFC, we have said this many a time. Now, look, the Giants have a good defense and a not so great offense. Okay, I'm not going to pretend. And yes, and that's fine. But the Vikings. Okay, I think they're a good team, and I think they deserve to make the playoffs. I think the Cowboys, they're also good. But when you go outside of those 3 teams, the Eagles, actually those 4 teams, the division winners, and the Cowboys.
The Bucs, the Bucs lead there.
I'm gonna mention them. I'm saying, so you really what should be the 4 division winners, because the Cowboys would win almost pretty much any other division. They'd be able to win any other division. They are they're 7-3. Okay, they're one of the best teams. So the Bucs, Seahawks, even my Giants, I don't like admitting it, but they're not good. They don't deserve to be in the playoffs. They're getting there, in my opinion, by default. the Bucs have looked abysmal. I don't think they're going anywhere. And I understand Tom Brady does magical things in the playoffs, but he just doesn't look like Tom Brady this year. Okay. The Seahawks are a fun story, but defensively, they're not so hot. Okay. They're a good offense that really started off hot, and they've tapered off a little bit. Just
Hey,
as
shout
a
out
whole,
to K9. He's running the hell out of that ball.
right. And the team as a whole, in my opinion, is kind of tapered off a little bit. Not that they're bad. They're just not as hot as they started. And so when you look at it like that, it's and then the Giants I've already mentioned. So when you look at it like that, it's like, yeah, there's a couple good teams, but I look at the AFC, and for me at least, I go, wow, this is a just
Loaded.
stacked set of teams. The only team that's not really, I don't call them stacked, but I guess the worst of the 7 for me would probably be the Patriots at number 6. And I wouldn't
bring
even
up the playoff picture, like just who's in right now? Like, can we bring that up? Because I was looking at it the other day, and it was actually fun to look at because there's so many interesting matchups with the with what if the playoffs started today.
This is 1 through 6, and then 7 is the Seahawks and Bengals.
All right, so
what's that? Dolphins as the 2. So the Dolphins will go. Hold on, who's traveling to Miami the first round?
It would
be
Bengals? Dolphins. Okay, it would be matchup. Dolphins, Bengals,
which would be
Titans,
a really good
Pats,
game.
Ravens, Bills, all great games.
Titans, Pats, Ravens,
great
Bills.
games,
Yep. All great games.
As opposed to the NFC.
Oh my gosh, Ravens Bills would be so much fun. Pats,
Vikings, Seahawks, Giants, Giants, Niners, and then Bucks, Cowboys, and we already know what's going to happen. Which leads me to my next point. Number 1, Tom Brady is undefeated against Dallas. We know this. Number 2, everyone raves it. I don't want to take nothing away. Dak is talented. The Cowboys have a really good team. But we've read this story before. We've seen it before. They get to the playoffs, and they're going to find a way to cowboy it up. Case in point, who eliminated them last season? The 49ers we just got done talking about. And you can check the gauntlet because I said this. I said the Niners had a better team. I said they got the defense to get them fits. And what happened? They smacked them. They punched them in the face right in their house. So we already know what's going to happen. I'm not apologizing to you Cowboys fans because y'all have seen it too. So with that being said, and seeing as that would be the first round matchup, is the Cowboys will have to travel to Tampa. Past that, that's kind of hard.
Yeah,
it's funny how the AFC is spread out with more
really good teams,
but the NFC has the 2 best teams. Yeah. The NFC has the 2 best teams. So that's why it's kind of hard to tell.
And that's why for me, I think the AFC is so much better. And every team in the AFC has earned their playoff spot. Again, the Patriots being the worst one,
but their defense has been absolutely
they're an elite
fantastic.
Defense. Yeah, exactly. So, the Bengals being the 7 seed is crazy, but they're a really good team.
Yeah.
Like
and
Miami,
Jamar Chase has been out for a while too.
If Miami does play them in the playoffs, that is going to be a fireworks show.
Oh my gosh!
It is going to be. You're going to have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle versus we'll call it Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle versus Burrow, Jamar Chase, and we'll call Joe Mixon their 3rd star if you want. I mean,
yeah, that's easy to say.
Absolutely awesome. It is to me just a beautiful matchup. And then when you look at it at the NFC, you're going to have the Vikings and the Seahawks. Boring. Okay, I don't want to watch that. Okay, I don't care. I'm bored by that. That's whoever wins that. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's not going to do anything. It's boring as can be.
Gino would finally go to the playoffs for the first time, man. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. I'd expect with that said, I expect the Vikings to slaughter them, but
right.
But I mean, hey, the Seahawks had a surprising season. They're probably the most surprising team in the league. Even though some people did kind of see it coming because they was like, Russell's on the decline.
The matchup
not that exciting.
The one that I don't think would be a good game to watch, and I'm sorry, Jake.
I agree.
I don't think the Giants-Niners game would be a good game. I don't think that's a good matchup for the Giants.
It's terrible.
Like, I think it's a really bad
matchup.
matchup.
Offenses versus a really good defense. That is the worst case scenario for us.
You know,
we fare much better.
It's the worst matchup for the Giants.
They're really going to sell that, though. They're really going to sell that because of the historical playoff connotations.
Yeah, that
the historical. The Giants and Niners have met up how many times in the playoffs? They're going to sell the hell out of that game.
Oh, but just watching the game from a fan's perspective, like the Niners are going to kill them. Like they're going to force Daniel Jones to pass on that fantastic defense, and Bosa's going to eat him alive. It's just, it's not a good matchup.
I love my Giants, but.
It's still a good feel-good season because
it is. No, of course.
Who on this panel or watching saw the Giants going to the playoffs this year?
Not at all. I thought they were like a 4-win team.
After week 1, I said we're going to the playoffs. After starting 1-0, I said we're going to the playoffs. That was all it took.
Kudos to you.
Who was your first game?
Titans.
Titans. That's right.
We beat a good team. I said the Giants went 1-0, and the last time we'd done that, we went to the playoffs. I said Giants are going to the playoffs. Absolutely, book it now. And I was right at this moment, and I'm proud to say Giants are going to the playoffs, most likely, barring.
Kayla said not one bit. So
of course she didn't.
Maybe Jake, you're lying.
No, she didn't believe they were.
Oh, she didn't believe it. Okay.
I say on Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel after week 1, I will be the first to tell you that's exactly where I said it. And Eric can corroborate my story because he was like, wow, okay. I said they're going to the playoffs after week 1. It took 1 win. That's all it took. I said they are going to the playoffs this year because I saw the way they played. But it doesn't mean.
I'm sorry, I got you mixed up with JB. Because JB doesn't like his teams.
Exactly.
But look, JB has to diss his teams in order for like this,
it's like reverse psychology
for them to be good. Yeah, like the Giants. The Giants were they're like 7-3 right now. Like they go 9-3, and he's like, oh man, them some bums. They ain't about to do that. Them some bums.
It's a way of not being let down. That's all.
They'll win the Super Bowl. You go, nah, they were a bunch of bums. They got lucky.
They haven't won back-to-back.
Just celebrate what happened.
He did it with the Yankees all year. Look, despite me saying that they have a good team, Jake, you've heard it. Despite me saying that they have a good team, them some bums. They're not about to win nothing.
Not once did he root for 62.
He's never happy.
Not once did he root for 62. He's like, I don't care. It's just a number. Me, I would be going crazy. But he's like, who cares?
Always. So,
if someone on the Orioles was going for 62, dude, John would like open up his own solo show. He would have no guess. He'd be like, "Oh no, we're talking about all Orioles."
Yeah,
it's teal and orange.
I would find a way to bring it up in every show, every conversation.
Every show.
I promise.
Absolutely.
Every show.
As you should. So real quick, John, before we start the show, we got about 9-ish minutes, a little bit less. You wanted to bring something up. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
We got time to talk about it?
Yeah, I want to talk a little Thanksgiving. But first of all, I want to talk just quickly. What do we think about the Yankees and Mets potentially cheating? I mean, Yankee fans could no longer say that the Astros are cheaters. They can't say that line anymore. Astros won in 2017 when the Yankees and Red Sox both cheated.
What cheating are you talking about, John?
Apparently, they've been talking about Judge.
The league found nothing.
They found nothing.
That's what Manfred. Look, John, I can't go off of anything else.
Yeah, I trust Manfred.
Other than what Manfred tells us, this is not like watching a game where I can tell you.
I trust Manfred like I trust a bee on my inside my windshield while I'm driving.
John, here's the difference. When the Astros cheated, at least I could say, "Oh, well, I saw these things." These are things that happen behind closed doors. We just don't know. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I don't have any evidence that says they did or didn't. At least with the Astros, when they cheated, I'm like, yeah, well, I saw it and I heard it. I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it didn't.
How can that be cheating? Like, what did they do wrong? He's a free agent, if I'm correct.
I think they spoke to him before the free agent period, before you were supposed to be speaking to them.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I just want to be clear, because I looked at it and I was like, he's a free agent, and I don't know if they do sign-in trades in baseball like they do basketball. I don't think they do.
No.
But I was just confused.
I mean, they could.
Free agent,
it's something that happens all the time. Exactly what we're talking about right now. It's something that happens all the time, every single time. Even in college, and schools could get fined for stuff like that. Yeah.
Of course.
It's just something that happens all the time. Let me tell you, whenever you are in an entity, college or pro,
yeah,
where you are in a position to bring in revenue, is it out of the realm of thought that people want to get a competitive advantage? I'm making millions. That's on the line. You know what I mean? So that's why with the whole sign picking thing, just like, okay, it was somebody that was reading an article with the whole sign picking thing with the Astros. Dude was like, man, it's just a tool in the tool belt. You know, there dudes out there making millions of dollars. I know if someone was on that field, it's like, hey man, look, sliders come well, whatever. Okay, you know, like, but as far as this goes, and even then, I still think to a certain extent they should amend that rule, because if someone has an intention to go to free agency, from the moment they declare, it should be open season. Stop setting the date. We gotta wait till 5 weeks after the season ended. No.
It doesn't
the second they declare for free agency, it should be open season. To me, this is a non-issue because it's a dumb rule.
I mean, think about the NFL. Think about the NFL when free agency comes, and we're all like, "Oh man, free agency is it starts at Tuesday at midnight," and like 3 days before free agency starts, Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport and all these guys are like
already telling us
that deals are done, and it's like, well, isn't that cheating? Like, yeah, it is, but does anybody give a rat's ass? Not really.
Nobody cares.
They don't sign the actual contracts until midnight on Tuesday or whatever.
Who cares?
Like that's how when midnight on Tuesday hits, and JPP has signed a deal at 12 o'clock or 12:01. Guess what? Like,
who cares?
That deal happened 3 days before. Who gives a rat's ass? Move on with their lives, because it happens in every sport and nobody cares except baseball.
Absolutely. It's just stupid. Stupid is what it is.
So what are you guys' before we go, because 2 days before Thanksgiving, what are you guys' favorite like dishes? Like, aside from turkey, like, is there any special dishes you look forward to?
I got two, but I'll let you guys go first. I'll let Jay start it up.
Stuffing. Cornbread dressing, stuffing, whatever you want to call it. Love it. I've loved it since the tyke. Always will. Just the right spices and ingredients in it. I mean, I just have to have it. I got to have it. That, and I'm here to let everyone know, okay, it's going to be an unpopular opinion. Okay. Green bean casserole is not that bad.
No!
It's average. It's average. It's not terrible. It's average. It's average, and that's okay. It's average. Of course, there are way better dishes, and there could be very well worse dishes.
It's a Jimmy G of Thanksgiving dishes.
Jimmy G's also been to a bowl in the NFC Championship game. Yeah, we're still talking about Jimmy G.
Stop saying.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's right in the middle. It's right in the middle. It's in the middle. It's right in the middle. I don't get like half a plate full. I get like a small spoonful or something. I got baked mac and cheese and stuffing and maybe a little bit of cranberry sauce. Maybe a little bit of wild rice. But
Jay, you're hurting my heart.
It's not even that much. It's like that much.
So
it's like that much. It's like this much.
It's like a bite.
So is there anybody is there a certain person that makes that dish for you, or do you make it? Like, each year, do you look forward to a family member? You know what I mean? Like, is there a special person that makes that dish each year for you? Go to their house or whatever.
Seeing as like trade secrets kind of go around the family now, it's more like, because like it used to be like my late grandparents, but then ever since then, it's like, my uncles have stepped up, my aunts have stepped up, and everything, my cousins, and they all kind of share the secret. Yeah, they may have a little bit of, they may have a few modifications here and there, but outside of that, just like my cousin's flying in on Thursday, so it'll probably be my aunts and uncles just kind of combined bringing things, and
it's always good.
There you go. It's just kind of, that's how I picked up after my predecessors passed away and everything.
Gotcha.
So,
John,
Jake,
all right, I'll go. It's two easy answers, and Jay, you kind of mentioned it. It's mac and cheese, man. Mac and cheese is one of the best dishes. That is. You give me a whole plate of that and turkey, and I will eat nothing else except for the next dish. The next side I'm going to mention. There are three things I have to eat on Thanksgiving.
Baked mac and cheese.
Turkey, I gotta eat turkey. I gotta have my mac and cheese, and I gotta have sweet potato casserole. If you tell me otherwise, it is sweet potatoes and marshmallows. What's not to like? It's just delicious. What's not to like?
Yes.
I mean, look,
sweet potato pie is my favorite. I love sweet potatoes, man. I love sweet potatoes. Sweet potato fries, you name it.
Jay is working his way back into my heart now. Good job.
That right there, yeah. I love sweet potatoes.
Nothing to dislike. Give me cornbread, give me stuffing. I love it all. But if I gotta pick just a couple things, I gotta pick one dish, one main thing, and two sides. That is all I'm taking. I'm taking turkey with some sweet potato casserole and mac and cheese. I'm done. I'm a happy man.
Sweet.
I'm
go ahead, Johnny. I'm sorry.
I'm traditional. I do the mac and cheese, the corn, the turkey, rolls. I'm not a big gravy guy, but I'm okay with gravy. But I look forward to, we go to my uncle's house, and I look forward to the chocolate pie and the pumpkin pie. He always has this really good chocolate pie. I always look forward to. And I told my daughter, I'm like, hey, when we get there, it's going to have a really good chocolate pie and a really good pumpkin pie. And it's going to be fantastic. That's what I look forward to.
She's going to go crazy. Watch.
Yes.
She's going to go nuts. Now, Jake, that mac and cheese, this baked mac and cheese, and when you scoop it and bring it up, it has to look like you put on a slice of pizza out the. You got the long cheese. The long cheese.
And if they have any of the burnt parts on top, I want like the little burnt part, crispy parts. I want that. I want that part. You can have the middle.
On that note, though, gentlemen, we got to wrap up. We got about 45 seconds. Jay, very quickly, where can people find you?
All right, hey, fellas, thanks for bringing me on once again. Confidential, we'll have a one-off episode in December where we'll talk about free agency, and then the one-off in January we'll talk about spring training, and then we'll be back in February full force. We'll let you guys know the time. No more slumber party, so it's going to be an earlier time. Pundit Wednesday, tomorrow night, myself, Jacob, Scott, and Jennifer. The Gauntlet Friday, we actually are taking off for the holiday, so everyone enjoy the holiday. We'll be back the next Friday. And Basket Bros Sunday. That's myself, Dom, Jake.
Hawks 13. Yeah. And
that's
happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, indeed.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jay.
It's all right. No, it's all right. We got to wrap this up anyway, but at Jake_Malik. Check out Sideline Sports at all these places. And on that note, everybody, please have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy all the foods we mentioned. Enjoy your loved ones. And we will see everybody actually next week. One week from now.
Eat your turkey well done.
Project.